Hello YouTube. I haven't made a video in a while, but something really got to my attention. It's this video called This Should Keep Us All Thinking. You've probably heard of it, but if you haven't, it's been this video that's been going around YouTube, email, chain letters, social networking sites like Facebook and MySpace, and honestly, it's getting really annoying. This video is about this Christian kid who is taking this philosophy class at USC, and his professor is an atheist who keeps pushing the idea that God does not exist. And he's been doing this for 20 years, calling anyone who believes in God a fool. Now, honestly, I find this really hard to believe, because 20 years ago there weren't nearly as many atheists as there are today, and frankly, I find it hard to believe that no one would stand up and say anything for 20 years and let him call them fools for believing in God. I really doubt that. But let's go ahead and take a look at this video anyway. It says, all of the students would do nothing but stop and stare. Like I said, I find that to be really unbelievable. I really don't believe that. And most of the students thought that God couldn't exist. Okay, the person who made up the story, and by the way, I looked it up, the story is just an urban legend, but the person who made up this story I don't think did much research into making up this story, because when he says most of the students thought that God couldn't exist, even today, most of the world believes in God or gods, and that's just absurd to think that a class full of 300 students, the majority of them thought that God couldn't exist. So that's the first telltale sign to me that told me, maybe this story is complete bullshit. Okay. Then it goes on to say, certainly a number of Christians had slipped through, but for 20 years they had been too afraid to stand up. Okay, since when do Christians just sit there and be afraid of being torn apart by other people's beliefs? That's just not what Christians, or at least Christians in America, do. I've not heard of Christians like that. I have never heard of Christians like that. So that's yet another absurd statement. Okay. Then it goes on to say, well, a few years ago there was a freshman who happened to enroll. That's that Christian kid I was talking about earlier. And he said he'd heard stories about his professor and stuff like that. He was required to take the class for his major, but he was afraid. Okay, like I said, I've never heard of Christians being afraid of other people's religion or other people's beliefs. I actually have found it to the contrary more times than likely. But let's keep watching this video and see what it says. But 3 months into that semester, he prayed every morning, I don't give a fuck. That he would have the courage to stand up no matter what the professor said. Now, this is the point in the video where I'm like, maybe this video does have a point. Maybe it's just a moral about you should stand up for your beliefs and stuff. And, maybe that's the point he's trying to make. Maybe he's not trying to be all preachy, the person who's making this video. But nothing they said could ever shatter his faith, blah blah blah. And the day came, and he said he believed in God at the end of the semester, and everyone looked at him shocked. Then the professor dropped the piece of chalk, it rolled off, and it didn't break. Yada yada yada. Okay. And then he proceeded to drop the chalk, yada yada, I already said that. Okay, let's skip ahead in the video. The professor's jaw dropped as he stared at the chalk. He looked up at the young man and then ran out of the lecture hall. Oh my god, amazing. The young man who had stood proceeded to walk to the front of the room and shared his faith in Jesus for the next half hour. Okay, this is probably the most hypocritical part of the video. They are complaining that the atheist professor is using the classroom as a pedestal for preaching, and look, the Christian kid does the exact same thing. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what is. But let's just continue with the video. So, any shot they had at creating a moral to the story, about, just any type of actual moral to the story, they just completely destroyed it by saying that. The 300 students stayed and listened as he told of God's love for them and his power through Jesus. Wow. Okay, let's skip ahead in the video. Okay, it says, you have two choices. Pretend you never read this. No, I am not going to, because I am going to tell everyone that this story is complete bullshit. Okay, or number two, pass this along to your Christian and non-Christian friends, giving them encouragement we need all and every day. When you choose option two, you have chosen to stand up in light of the many jokes we tell to one another for a laugh. Blah 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 blah. I don't care what the rest of it says, but I felt I had to say something about this because it's getting quite annoying. And I find it absurd how gullible people are. They think this story is absolutely true at face value. Anything that's on the internet is true. Anything they get in a video from a chain mail is true. I mean, it's complete bullcrap. And, in the end of the video, the maker of this video goes on to preach and preach and preach and all that shit, So, yeah. I think that's all I have to say, so peace out. Until next time.